This is our story about how we left hectic business lives to go sailing with Frida Visby and our cat Lisa. Our goal is to sail the Mediterranean Sea. We travel to get new views, experiences, meet new people. This is a journey to gain new skills, be mindful and increase happiness. Captain Anders, First Mate Gitte, the captain Lisa, and our boat Frida Visby. Today is the start of our biggest adventure. If you have questions about our trip or our boat, please leave a comment below. In the last episode we sailed through the Kiel Canal to Brunsbüttel, and in this episode we will look a little bit at the town, but we will also look through some disaster docking situations that we experienced. One in Brunsbüttel where Anders actually got injured, and another one that we had in Cuxhaven, and some lessons learned. And yes, we sailed between Brunsbüttel and Cuxhaven as well. I'm on my way to the town center of Brunsbüttel now. And here you see one of the ferries. So this is what the cars see when we see the ferries crossing. Looks like the tour boat is leaving, but I'm a bit surprised to see the queue. Everybody is standing quite close and no face masks, which the Germans think is so important in all other occasions. Guest harbor where we were supposed to land, but now there's only two laying outside, but there was three when we were looking yesterday, and it was quite windy, so we didn't want to take a chance. So we went back and laid behind Vegasack. That was lucky because it was nice people too. Brunsbüttel lies in the mouth of Elbe at the western entrance to the Kiel Canal, which is the busiest artificial waterway according to Wikipedia. Brunsbüttel is actually quite old. It dates back to the 12th century, but during bombing in the Second World War, there's much left of the old town. Nice park. The beautiful park is next to the lock museum and the actual locks. It lays alongside the lock so that you have a view out over the lock area from the viewing platform. And that's where we are going now. While I'm walking over there, I will let you look at some facts about the lock. There is actually 5 lock chambers here in Brunsbüttel, where the 2 smallest and oldest are used for pleasure crafts. The history when they built the lock. My German is not super good, but it's nice that they have it. There's something from the control room. Looks very much like the control rooms in any business that I am familiar with. Oh, that doesn't look good. Ooh. Some kind of accident. Ooh. So that's the canal side. Locks. And this is the elbow side. There you can see the control tower. Okay, I better get back to the boat because Anders told me that in 1 hour we will refuel. Just have to show you. This is how the lock area looks. from above. So I need to get back to the boat so we can move it into the fuel dock. But here our departure was abruptly interrupted due to that when we were going over to the fuel dock, Anders had an accident. He fell on the dock. He had shoes that were very slippery, and the wood was wet and also very slippery. And there was a wind gust. We normally do this way that we have the boat tied with a spring line, and we drive on the spring line to keep the boat to the dock while we take away all the other lines. But for some reason the line in the front had been brought up, so I couldn't get it loose from the boat. So Anders had stepped off the boat and onto the dock to get it loose, and I had just done that when a strong wind gust pushed the boat loose, so to speak. It still had its spring line, but the motor was not in strong enough gear or with strong enough power, so it could keep the boat to the dock in the strong wind. So the boat drifted out, and Anders did exactly what he had told me about a million times not to do, and that was that he tried to grab the spring line and tried to pull the boat in. But you can't pull in a 15-ton boat, especially not in slippery shoes on a slippery dock. So he fell on his back and hurt it really, really bad. So that is one of my worst sailing experiences so far, because I was alone on the boat. Anders was laying on the dock screaming in pain, and I knew I have to get the boat back to the dock and get the lines on again. So I got back to the steering pulpit as quickly as possible and increased the power so that I was driving stronger to the spring line, and slowly the boat got back to the side of the dock and I could attach the lines again. But there was a couple of minutes there while I was doing that, and Anders was laying and really screaming in pain. So that was a terrible moment that I hope I will never experience again. We got a bit of company, and Europa 2, massive cruising ship. Wow. And the other one, Transfernica, is not small. Yeah, Lisa. Wow. It's a big ship. I didn't know that ships this big could pass the Kiel Canal. I am glad we didn't meet this one. Now Transfernica is on the other side, behind it. And there you can see it. Looks almost small. I actually found some information about Europa 2. It was launched in 2012. It's 225 meters long, or 740 foot, and 26 meters wide. That's a beam of 88 foot. It has 7 passenger decks and is capable of doing 21 knots. It has a capacity of 516 passengers and more than 370 crew. That's impressive. And then you see this little guy. Well, Everybody is alone in the canal. From the smallest to the biggest in the same picture. Still in Brunsputtel. Gossip Andersback. Lisa and I are sitting in the cockpit, enjoying that there is actually a little bit of sunshine. Nu ska vi äta kantarellsoppa och ost med örter och paprika. Here you can sit and make a study of different styles of ships. This is one of the stranger ones, at least when it comes to the painting. Different painting, I would say. I'm not sure, I think I like it, but it has only been a few minutes since the odd painting. Painted one, still see it over there. A more traditional cargo ship is coming. I would say they come about every second minute or so. Sometimes you get a few minutes, like 10-15 minutes in between, but that's not often. And they run at night as well, but not quite as frequently. But I think it's a bigger ship that runs at night. It's a nice and sunny day here in Brunsputtel. And this is down below, still having back pain. It's a bad thing, but hopefully it will be alright tomorrow. En bakare till olja med torrfisk. Och sen smakar de lite bleka på ovansidan, det är mest undervärme. Okay. This behind us is Vision. New friends that we made from Höllviken in Sweden. But ahead of our boat came a big sailboat a little while ago, so we are taking a short walk to see what it is. Still in Brunsputtel. We are going to sail today, a short bit, because only to Cuxhaven. Anders is still fighting his back pain, trying to stretch a bit. And we are going to make buddy boat with Vision over there. And we are waiting for the right time for the tide. So about 2 o'clock, I think it was.
Yeah.
We are going to start moving from here. Then we will have slack tide when we arrive in Cuxhaven. The captain on watch. Especially pay attention to the tail. You have to ensure that you are connected. We are going to go through the old block today. And we've been instructed to wait here for about 45 minutes. Our friends at Vision waiting for the dock in Brunsputtel. There's a few boats gathered. More coming in. They gather the small boats into batches. And that's why you can sometimes have to wait for a while. Hello, Captain.
Hello.
Are you okay up there? Stressful at the lock as usual, but at least we're here. They are opening. not that easy to catch those small rings, so you have to go down on the dock to do it. We are on Elbe, on our way to Cuxhaven. It's quite windy. 13 knots. So I'm sorry for noise. We are following our friends. We are motoring in 8 knots. And now it's 16 knots of wind. So, right in the nose, almost. I was steering most of the way, but when we were approaching the harbor, Anders took over. I'm still amazed by all those big ships that pass really close by, and the sound it makes when it goes through the water like this. We are slowing down on purpose because we are a little bit early. The tide is still quite strong. 2-3 knots, I think. Our constitution has already gone in, which was probably wise because the wind was picking up.
Ska vi göra detsamma då?
Okay. Där ja, framför den röda. Eller? Jo, det stämmer med Anders was already getting tired and he had a lot of back pain, but I had never docked the boat, so we decided he should take her in. We have 10 knots, 20 knots, 10 meters per second wind from behind, and it's almost flat tide, it's not quite there. We hope we can get a starboard side, outside position, but we're not quite sure. While we were on our way, we tried to call the harbor to get a berth. We knew that there were space for us, but we had not got a specific berth. But they didn't answer on VHF, and they didn't answer when we tried to call them with the cell phone. So when we came into the harbor, we started just to look for an available spot, and some people pointed to a green spot, and we thought it looked small, but Alice was in pain, and the wind was blowing, and we were getting quite tired, and we just wanted to get tied up. We are in Cuxhaven, and we are laying in a berth that is actually too small for us, and it's quite windy inside. We have, I don't know how many lines, but it doesn't feel good at all. Anders is up trying to put another one in, but the problem is that the finger is both too short, and it looks, yeah. We hope it holds. Say by 1 o'clock the wind will die down a little bit, so we will stay up until that, and hopefully when the wind dies down it will feel better. We actually had quite a lot of people that were angry at us and came and yelled at us and told us that we were doing wrong. But none of those people offered to actually help us to move the boat, and with the strong wind and an injured captain, we decided it was safest to stay where we were. Our new berth, not much better than the other one, but the finger is a little bit longer at least, so it barely reaches where our gap is. Gate. Difficult to climb by the ladder, but possible. We are not very impressed of Cuxhaven. It's not made for boats in the size of ours. If you had a bigger boat over 15 meters, you're allowed to lay longside, but those that they consider is for 12 to 15 meters is okay if you are 12 and a half or almost 13, but bigger than that it's not good. So what did we learn in this docking disaster episode? Well, take wind shifts into account and overpower a little bit if you drive on a line when docking. Don't ever wear slippery shoes. Don't leave if somebody vital to security is injured. If a berth looks bad, don't take it. It's better to make another reconnaissance round. Don't just yell at people, offer to help with the situation instead. And our last lessons learned is to practice different docking techniques in different conditions and with all crew, so everybody know how to do it. In the next episode we will look a bit more at Cuxhaven. We spent some time there, and we also get some new crew that will help us to move the boat further. Now I have shared our experiences and our lessons learned. So maybe you have similar situations or other tricky docking situations where you have learned some experiences. Please share them down below in the comment section.